Good morning, everyone. In this lecture, let us see the introduction part of thick cylinder. To start with, cylinder is considered to be thick if the ratio of inner diameter to the thickness of the walls is less than 20. And if it is greater than 20, then it is called as a thin cylinder. If it is less than 20, then it is called as thick cylinder. Now, if the cylinder is long in comparison with its diameter, whatever the longitudinal stress that is going to come is assumed to be uniform across the thickness of the cylinder wall, because in thin cylinder we normally doesn't consider the radial stress across the circumference, but here in thick cylinder, because the ratio of diameter to thickness is less than 20, the influence of radial stress also will play a crucial role. So the total number of stresses acting on a thick cylinder are circumferential stress, which varies with radius, and the radial stress, and the longitudinal stress, which is a constant value. Now, these are all some of the examples of thick cylinder, hydraulic or pneumatic actuator. So these things are used in mechanical purposes, and actuators are used in civil engineering also to test huge members like big beams, big columns. But this is the internal setup that we normally come up across the pneumatic actuators. And this is one more example of a thick cylinder. And these are all the common aluminum pipes that we generally adopt for general purposes in mechanical as well as civil engineering things. Now let us see the stresses in thick cylinder. If you take a thick cylinder of thickness T and consider a small element strip from that, this stress element is divided into three stress components, that is the radial stress component, longitudinal stress component, and the tangential stress component. That is the hoop stress or circumferential stress, sigma c or sigma theta. Now, if you see this thick cylinder, because of the presence of all these three stresses, the major concentration would be on the calculation of radial as well as the circumferential stress, because longitudinal stress remains constant. So now if you take a thick cylinder, this is the pressure distribution across the internal part as well as the external part. So Pi is the internal pressure distribution across the inner diameter or inner radius of the thick cylinder. PO is the external pressure, and external diameter and radius are R0. And then the next concept is Lehm's theory and the expression. So there are four assumptions made in Lehm's theory. This can be referred to the notes also. The material is homogeneous and isotropic, which is a known phenomena. Plane sections plane sections remain plane under the action of internal pressure, and then the material is stressed with elastic limit as per the Hooke's law. That means it has to satisfy the linear behavior, and this holds good only till elastic limit. This is an assumption for this. Now all the fibers of the material, so when you talk about a fiber, each and every thick cylinder portion, when it is rolled, because there is a thickness of varying thickness like 10 mm, 20 mm, 30 mm, 40 mm, each and every layer will be considered as a fiber. So all the fibers of the material are stressed independently without being constrained by adjacent fibers. So they are stressed independently. So one layer or the other is stressed independently because of the action of pressure, either internal or external. And now we have two equations for using Lehm's theory. One is sigma r, that is radial stress. Another one is sigma c, that is the circumferential stress. Now these derivations were already there in the notes. As this is a revision, I just wanted to revise what we have already learned. And here A and B are the constants, which are called as Lehm's constants, which are obtained based on the known conditions of internal and external pressure values as well as their corresponding radius values. Now, there are special cases of compound cylinders, like what will happen to a thick cylinder if both internal pressure as well as external pressure are present. And the second case, what if only external pressure is present and internal pressure is zero? And the third case, internal pressure is present, but the external pressure is zero. So some of the applications corresponding to these things are when Pi is equal to zero, that is internal pressure is equal to zero, you can take examples of a submarine, vacuum chamber, shrink fit. So the shrink fit part I will explain in my next lecture. So as of now, you keep it on hold. And then the buried pipe. So these are some of the examples of a case where internal pressure is zero, but external pressure exists. And then these are some of the examples of conditions where external pressure is dominating compared to internal pressure. Then we have external pressure zero. So for example, gun barrel. most famous thing which we all know. And then the liquid or gas carrying pipe. So we have a gas carrying pipes. In that, external pressure is 0 because atmospheric pressure plays a role there. And then the hydraulic cylinder and the gas storage tank. So these are some of the cases where you can see this, right? This gun barrel. So if you could see here, frankly speaking, there is no external pressure. The entire pressure is revolving around internal concept, internal phenomena. Now we have basic expressions for these cases. So let us see one by one. So this is the basic representation of a thick cylinder with radius R1 and R2 corresponding to the pressures and their boundary conditions. So you have case 1 where external pressure is P2 and internal pressure is P1. So at R is equal to R1, that is at internal radius, radial stress is equal to P1 because radial stress exists. And at R is equal to R2, sigma R is equal to P2. That is one more additional thing there. So using these boundary conditions, we will calculate the Lahm's constants A and B and their corresponding stresses with respect to radial as well as circumferential. So these derivations also can be seen in the notes. It's already been derived. So case 2, external pressure 0, internal pressure P1. So because external pressure is 0, P2 becomes 0 and sigma R becomes 0 at that point. That is at radius R is equal to R2 and their corresponding Lahm's constants and Lahm's equations. Third case, internal pressure 0. Now P1 becomes 0 and R, capital R is existing. See here, don't confuse here. Here capital R represents R2, R1. So you need not confuse here. These are just terminology represented based on your understanding. So this is one phenomena here. And then longitudinal and shear stresses. So when we have, and one more thing, in case 3, because the internal pressure is 0, the corresponding pressure P2 will be also 0. And then we have longitudinal and shear stresses. So that is sigma L and tau max. So these expressions also can be calculated and derived based on the expressions that were derived in the class. So going to the next thing, one example which was solved in the class also I wanted to explain once more. So this is the problem. So a thick cylinder is considered with an aluminum alloy. Young's modulus and Poisson's ratio were given. Inside diameter and outside diameter were given. It is subjected to internal fluid pressure of 150 megapascal. So we need to calculate the principal stresses and the maximum shear stress at a point on the inside surface of the cylinder. So that's what we need to focus on. And it was also asked to calculate the increase in diameter due to fluid pressure. So let us see step-by-step process here. So now if you see here, first step, we know the diameter values and the corresponding radiuses are obtained. And once we have the radius here, both internal as well as external. So inside diameter is 200 and corresponding radius is 100 mm. And outside diameter and radius, so radius is 0.4 meters. So we have the internal fluid pressure to be 150 megapascal. And Young's modulus value is given to be 72 gigapascal. And we have Poisson's ratio 1 by m or nu is 0.33. Now if we calculate principal stresses, so we need to first use Lahm's equations and calculate the Lahm's constants using boundary conditions. So here, so we know that radial stress is given by B by R square minus A. So at R is equal to 0.1. So at R is equal to 0.1, that is internal diameter, sigma R is equal to plus P because internal fluid pressure is given. So for internal diameter, internal fluid pressure is given. And for external diameter, external fluid pressure is 0. So when we substitute that, we get these expressions 1 and 2 here. Then subtracting 2 from 1, in order to calculate the Lahm's constant, we get B and A. So we got the values of B and A. They are called as Lahm's constants. Now to calculate the circumferential stress, because we know the Lahm's constants, we can calculate the second Lahm's equation, that is circumferential stress equation or hoop stress. So B by R square plus A. So sigma C max, so circumferential stress will be maximum at the internal diameter and it will be minimum at the external diameter. So those values are also calculated because they are positive, it is considered to be tensile. And the corresponding principal stresses are the circumferential stresses that have been calculated here. and the maximum shear stress is calculated as the half of the difference between the two principal stresses. So that is 75 meganewton per meter square. Next thing that was asked is to determine the increase in inside diameter due to fluid pressure. So let us calculate the how much amount of increase is there in the inside diameter because of the presence of fluid pressure. So for that, we know that longitudinal stress is equal to PR1 square by R2 square minus R1 square. So we know all the data. So let us calculate longitudinal stress. And if you take any problem in thick cylinder, three parameters are constant: longitudinal stress, Young's modulus, and Poisson's ratio. Now we know the longitudinal stress. In order to calculate the circumferential strain, the stress versus strain relation, epsilon is equal to epsilon x is equal to sigma x by E minus mu sigma y by E minus mu sigma z by E. Now similarly, we have calculated and derived the expressions earlier in the notes, and you can refer to that. So the circumferential strain is given by this expression, and once we get the circumferential strain at the inner radius, so circumferential strain at the inner radius is equal to change in diameter by original diameter. So we were asked to calculate change in diameter. So change in diameter is given by delta d1 is equal to original diameter into circumferential strain. So that's how we calculate the increase in inside diameter. So in the next lecture, so this is what I have covered before the start of this vacation. So in the next lecture, I'll be sharing and talking about compound cylinder. What is a compound cylinder? What is the practical purpose of using it? How do we define shrinkage? And how do we design a thick cylinder using failure theories and corresponding problems? Thank you.